Um, there's one course um, at Juilliard, and one of the course. This is actually it's an entrepreneurship class. How ironic. Where one of the requirements is to commission a composer. Um, and that is nice because students then get suckered into um, having new music written for them.
It's interesting. At the school I was at, before starting at King's, where I am now, so RCM, like some of the performers, some of the like teachers are like very into new music, and some of them aren't. So it like depends who you're working with.
Yeah, that's not uncommon.
Yeah.
Um, Dominatrix percussion piece.
Whoa, nice.
Now I'm wondering if someone wants to explain a dominatrix percussion piece.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, Peabody's theory department is a little more enterprising, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, I had Omar Thomas my freshman year, and then I had David Smook for the past 2 years. So
Oh,
like,
David. David is an experience.
oh Smook. We said spooky season in class, and he goes, "You're pronouncing it wrong. It's smooky season. You're pronouncing my name wrong. I would like you to get it right."
If you don't know this guy, he mostly writes for toy piano.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a thing I forgot to ask Elizabeth Baker about her toy
About toy
piano.
piano?
Yeah,
Anyone here writing for toy piano?
I've written for toy piano. My Z Festival piece had a
You
toy
Where's
piano.
Steven?
Yeah, we had Steven, the toy piano player, at the summer program.
There
Uh,
was one point at which like I was learning this toy piano piece and I don't know who here knows Rodney Lister from BU, but like I had his toy piano sitting in my dorm for like a couple of weeks because I was learning this piece. That was an experience.
ooh,
My
woo.
my neighbors probably were just like, what is happening in there?
What demented carnival are they having next door?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like my project is being affected by the Halloween season. Like, I'm definitely hearing spoopy noises everywhere. It's kind of
Well,
funny.
Halloween's really 2 months long, right?
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah. So
I think it's 3 months personally, just because
does it continue in November or does it begin
it
in
skips November and then comes back in December.
Halloween in
Yeah,
December?
yeah.
It's that explains the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes, exactly.
That's I like your Halloween is gay Christmas, Clarissa.
It's gay Chris. Um, I wanted to ask though, what was I came in late, but what was the question that we were addressing with Duck? Was it about space in compositions or?
So the overarching question of the day is really to see how deep we can get with your individual questions that have been emerging at this point in the process. Um, it's not a single theme so much as it is. Duck asked about um, finishing. When is the piece done?
Mm,
Um, and should they add um, new parameters in the remaining time
mm,
when the structure of the piece is complete? Um, and my personal rebuttal to this, which is not going to be universal to everyone, um, is that the break is kind of a part of the process, and at the very least, you need a break before you put the finishing touches on things, just to give yourself some perspective, be able to hear something like it's the first time.
yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Um, I honestly like to just get double bar and never touch the rest again. Um, I'm an Aries, in case any of you didn't know. Uh, yes, double bar, done. Leave it. Maybe
Can I
come back years later. But
can I ask
honestly,
a question related to this?
yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was sounding like I was going to talk and didn't say anything.
Um, well, can I ask a question? I think a big topic that I'm sure is on many people's mind is the idea of perfectionism, which keeps people from doing stuff sometimes.
Yes.
I've had a fairly turbulent project one process just because I've been procrastinating hella, and they say that sometimes the root of procrastination is like fear and perfectionism and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I am currently engraving, as one does, because my handwriting is not very good. So I don't want to read after my handwriting. But that's taking a lot longer than I'm thinking, and I'm realizing like, oh man, there's only a few days left, and I might have to sacrifice X, whether X is like, oh, more time editing or more time mixing or putting my microphones in really like big brain places, you know. So I guess I think I need to, at least personally, I'm thinking of just like perfectionism. I'm thinking I might need to just step back and be like, well, it won't be perfect, but it'll be a thing, and there are parts of it I will be really happy with. But do you have any thoughts about this kind of thing?
The perfect is the enemy of the possible, let alone of the good. Um, you can make really messy engraving since no one will hear it. Like if it's just adequate enough for you to read, you don't have to futz around with getting the dynamics to line up perfectly and so forth and avoiding collisions.
Okay.
That's where I
Okay.
wait on engraving is like, oh god, this accidental's crashing. Now this accidental's crashing. Now this accidental's crashing.
Yeah, I use LilyPond, which is like an esoteric, like ancient
Ooh, Lily
thing.
Pond. I am
Yay!
I am in the process of being converted to Lily Pond.
It's fun.
It is fun. Honestly, once I know what I'm doing, the input's way faster than do you all know what this program is? Does anybody not know what Lily Pond is?
So I'm sure it'd be helpful to explain anyway. Um, it's
You're going to
you,
explain.
wait, did anybody say they don't know? Okay, yeah.
Okay,
So
yes. Oh, well, they named it after you, so it's you
You gotta pay me royalties. Come on.
yeah.
I
Well,
can do it on the drug.
Lily Pond is entered in code. I am going to share my screen um, to show you what I was just working on for my theory class. This was what they had to do this week, and I made it in Lily Pond. So the output of Lily Pond just looks like this.
the input.
The input, yes, the output is something else. The you type these sorts of things, or I end up copy pasting them from various fragments on the internet. The actual music notation looks like this, which is German organ tablature. Um, if any of you are familiar with this, where you just write the letter names, and then I end up actually working in a program called Frescobaldi, which adds to Lily Pond a graphical output as you work. And so Frescobaldi looks like this. I'm going to open a different one. This is Frescobaldi. And see it color codes. It's always fun when you can watch the
Yours
color.
looks different from mine. Oh, I changed the colors. I forgot.
Ah. And so here you get the result. And the advantage of this is that it takes care of a lot more details of the spacing and so forth for you than Sibelius and Finale do. And I find I make fewer mistakes when I'm entering the notes digitally rather than trying to do it visually. It feels more precise. But I have not mastered this, as you said, esoteric piece of software yet.
I still can't figure out how to change the spacing between staves.
It's really weird. I did it on this one. Um, Again, I opened it in the wrong app. I did it in this one. Um, there's a fragment online for it. Paper, set paper size, top margin, markup system spacing, system spacing. There's parameters you can set in the paper element to, because I wanted them to be further apart here so they would cover the whole page. And of course in Sibelius you just click at the bottom and drag. But here you have to, well, just Google and find the little fragment for it. So this is free. So that's honestly the main appeal of it, considering Sibelius is grotesquely overpriced. And no longer really supported. Anyway, that was a small digression into the realm of esoteric engraving. Frescobaldi is named after a composer.
Either a composer or an engraver.
Frescobaldi is named after a composer. He was a composer of virtuosic toccatas for the harpsichord.
Oh, yes.
They're quite the listen. He's like early Baroque, like Seconda Pratica, like Frescobaldi sounds not safe for work. Why would it be not safe for work? It just sounds suggestive in some way. Interesting. Frescobaldi's basics. Frescobaldi, I can sort of see that.
Oh my god. So I guess I shouldn't worry too much about engraving, but I still just think about like, oh my gosh, this is like art. I'm trying so hard, but also, you know?
Art's a mess. It should be. I have been telling myself,
It's a shit.
Oh dear.
Shits, yeah. Heinrich Schitz. That's how it's pronounced.
Anyone? Never mind. I'll tell a story at the end of the hour.
No one's brought up Lich mich im Arsch yet.
Yes.
Anyway, yes. Sure am glad no one here is under 18, question mark. Right? That might be a liability. Anyway. God, my brain is blanking all the time. I have been telling myself that the weirder and messier things are, the better. Like, just objectively better. Like, it can be a total academia beats that out of you. It just does. And most of you have been taking university courses. And as a result of that, you think there's some ideal for this. But also composition works that way even less than performance does. Like, no one should ever be graded on it. There is no idea of what makes it good that is not inherently incredibly oppressive. Academia encouraged me for a time, but then I got too weird for them. That's often how it goes. And it's funny the way it is now, because too weird for them, they like to think they're weird. Jazz band, yeah. Academic jazz is a whole nother thing. Academic classical music likes to pretend it's all cutting edge and out there, and it all is in kind of the same way. So, if you want to hit a different... Oh, Yeah, that's another um, elephant in all of those rooms.
So
So you
we
were
just
talking about,
gotta,
this is about perfectionism of every detail of the process.
and I think it was making me procrastinate a ton. And I think in the end, we just gotta rest, but also do it sometimes.
Rest, but also do it. Block out a section of time for this. Do exactly as much as you can in that amount of time, and then say you're done.
Oh, if we're doing like a sharing thing, can I show the bit that I was talking about earlier, and then you can see if you think it works?
I
Or
think Lily had her hand up first, but I'm
oh,
not sure.
Lily, you can go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to kind of add on to the perfectionism thing. My problem that I have finally been tackling also, like Julian, I feel like I'm in a very similar boat where I have been thinking about what I want to do and like planning it in my head, and I have like this very like cool, perfect ideal. And only in the past couple of days have I actually started really recording and mixing anything. And my project in the end is going to be probably as long as Dux's. Um, but it's just like translating things from the space into the thing that people can hear, and kind of like what Amelia was saying about allowing things to be weird. Like this project that I'm doing is very like it's pulling from a lot of distortion and weird and messy things, but I do want it to kind of have a more organized thing. So like finding the right balance between organization and chaos has been the thing that's very daunting for me. So that's one. And then the other thing is just connecting everything, finding where movement one ends and movement two ends and movement three ends, basically.
There's huge sculpturality that happens when you're letting all this chaos in.
Yeah,
And it's a healthy way of working through the process, but it's, I would say, different problems than
yes,
trying to fit everything into a sort of traditional songy character does.
yeah,
Where chaos balance is good, but such a hard balance sometimes. That's a good point. I can't compose when I'm thinking about things being in a balance because
mm,
balances are unstable.
yep,
Um, Sometimes you just have to let everything run out, and then if it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. And then
mm-hmm,
if it doesn't work, who knows? I have a friend who once remarked, the problem with music being an experiment is that how do you know if it didn't work?
mm,
And one could say, well, something clearly being cognizant, but I don't think there really is such a thing as musical cognizance in a universal way, um, or even in a consistent way within a type of thinking. I think the diversity of that is opposed to the idea of there being cognizance at all. But that's my own soapbox. You'll find plenty of people who will effectively um, disagree. I want to move on to what Laura was going to say and then Seamus.
Uh, I mean, I didn't know how this workshop was like going to work, so I thought I would like bring that example that I was talking about and present it as like the a problem I was working with.
We can absolutely do this. Just in the interest of time, how long is it to play?
Like, well, if I just play that bit, it's like 15 seconds or something.
Oh, go for it. Can you
I'm
share
not
your
going to play the whole piece.
Can you share your screen? Share your audio?
Yes. But before I do that, I'm also going to do this. Yes, here we go. And then I just like the videos, literally just like abstract sock videos that I put together.
Ah.
And And that was like a whole other journey, but yeah. So that was the transition. Yes.
Can you play it once more?
Yeah, sure. I'll go slightly further back. Yes.
It was a little bit tricky to discern where that. Can you change your can you end your share?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a little bit. Wow, I'm. Can you mute? Can you mute? Yeah, my audio was playing back distorted, so I I. It's hard to talk when your sound is all being played back at you. Um, I had a bit of a tricky time discerning um that cutoff and the reverb sound from the surrounding sound because of the sort of room sound of your microphone. Yeah.
Oh, right.
So
I
it's a little bit different experience to be listening to it through Zoom. I think I could tell what you meant. Also, it doesn't have to be absolutely totally smooth of a cutoff. Or you
No, I know,
consider,
it's bothering me.
are
'Cause
you
it,
running into Ableton or something?
no, that's just QuickTime.
Have
I
you
mean, I
considered
made it in Pro Tools.
have you considered going into Pro Tools and just drawing a little fade in there?
I mean, like, I did, but then it, like, I guess the sound just, like, stopped too early?
You can also change the slope of the fade. Did you try that?
Yeah, but it was just because of, like, how I'd done the delay, there was just, like,
There wasn't
if
really
I,
enough to put the fade.
yeah, it ran out of time, because, like, the next object, if I, like, moved it back, it would feel like it was too quick, and I was like, I don't like this.
Do you have like another reverb you could briefly fade it into?
I mean, that's basically what I did.
I could imagine like a third reverb happening, and
Mm.
like you mixed in your reverberated signal, and maybe you could take that reverberated signal and run it through another reverb just to give it a little bit more of a gossamer tail.
Okay.
Um, that's my thought.
I mean, I did want there to be like a clear break, but I didn't want it to sound like empty. That
You
was
could
just
also add another sound and counterpoint, just like add one sustaining note under it. So where
I mean,
that sound
like,
break and then something else.
I guess I mean, I was just curious if like other people thought this worked now, but I guess it's hard to hear through Zoom.
How much silence do you want? And how kind of
Almost.
aggressive do you want it to be?
Almost silent, but not so it sounds like weirdly empty.
It feels to me as if it's a kind of aggressive silencing that's carrying some tension in it,
Yeah.
which is compositional.
I mean, that
Um,
is what
it, it's a bit of an unusual effect, um, but I think it's perhaps a very useful one.
Mm.
So I had been suggesting, assuming you didn't want a total silence there, but
I mean, I didn't want like an aggressive silence to the point where there is zero room sound, which there is not zero room sound.
so if it's non-zero, I mean it feels abrupt, but possibly in a good way.
How does that relate to the rest of your work? Are you using silences frequently?
I'm using almost silences, but there aren't many like silent silences.
And do you vary how close you come to a true silence?
Yeah.
Is that a one of the ideas in your work?
It's something that happened during the process, but yeah.
It could be climactic. This.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially the ending.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how perhaps the tiny bit of abruptness is um, a kind of apotheosis of the the motive of silence that's already been happening.
Hmm. That's interesting. Maybe. Hmm.
I find, I don't know, there's a temptation, at least for me, in working with fixed media to um, think things sound too exaggerated. I don't know what it is about this process of shaping every bit of the sound, but um, it it tends to um, encourage a kind of greater sameness.
Hmm.
I have one moment. Would y'all mind if I played a little bit of my own piece for reference?
Sure.
Uh, this is a fixed media piece I wrote back in April. It was that noise that happened, which I added because I thought it was just sounding static in that moment. And then I played it back and I was like, oh god, this is garish and ugly. And then I decided to leave it because I was under a deadline. And now I'm like, this adds a little bit of charm to the thing. Like, it's an important compositional moment that resulted from I just need something here. And sure, it can be pitch shifting. Thank you, Seamus. Um, and it still sounds very disorienting to me. But I've simply decided to commit to it. As in,
Timing is a weird thing in fixed media.
yeah, yeah. Well, you have to think about it a lot more. Because when you're writing with pitches, I feel like timing feels as though it's given by the notes interacting. But when you're writing in fixed media, it feels more like you're just literally directly um, decorating the time itself. That's at least my feeling about it. Simply
There
a matter
isn't any flexibility in the time you have to make the flexibility in a way that you
exactly,
don't
exactly.
usually have to.
Well, it's fixed. It's
Yeah.
literal time rather than relative time.
So I guess it's more of an illusion of flexibility.
You have to create an illusion of flexibility in fixed media, you mean? Yeah, because it's
If you want to.
whereas there is always literal flexibility, even if you're being very rigid when you're writing notated music. Seamus, you had a question which may or may not be related, but I'm curious what it was.
Yeah, well, I don't exactly know the format of this because I came in 10 minutes late, but I just wanted to update a little bit on what questions are in my head about my piece right now.
That's the format of this.
Okay. Well, my main most pressing question is where the fuck is this positive feedback loop coming from, and how do I stop it? But I have a couple of suspicions and a couple of ideas, so I think we're good there. That's kind of more on me. But yeah, I'm getting close to being done with the max patch, and then I have to figure out how the timing relates to the stanzas of the poem that I wrote. So first of all, for those who don't know, I basically made this fucked up vocoder in Max MSP, and I wrote a poem and I'm reading it into the vocoder. It would be nice to get another set of eyes or two on the poem. I would read it to the entire group, but it feels like that would be too many cooks in the kitchen, and also I don't want it to get spoiled for everybody. I want somebody to be surprised. Okay, 4 people have volunteered. Okay, 4 is more than I want, but I'll hit up a few for you. Let me write down who it is who wrote.
It was a good poem.
Right, Julian looked at it already. He's the one who has seen it.
Wink and then wink again. It's a wink on a wink.
Yeah, and so yeah, I'm looking for that, and I'm also just on the fence about how I want the introduction of the various effects to relate to the poem. So I have several different effects that are just that apply to my voice and are triggered by different aspects of speech. And my original idea had been like, okay, I'll read the poem twice, and I have several effects, and I'm gradually stacking them on top of each other until there are all of them at the end, after having just been one at the beginning. And now I'm like, well, maybe that form is a little bit too logical. And so I'm just like, should I subtract some effects at some points in the middle? So I don't know. I'll once I'm totally done with the patch, I'll try it out a few different ways with the poem. Also, I'm planning on reading the poem twice, and the second time caring less about the audience understanding the words and more just drawing them out for phonetic effect.
You could like abruptly go back to your dry signal for just a second. That would already give it that need for a little bit of asymmetry.
I don't know if it helps, but I also layered a bunch of effects on the guitars, and I did like automation of the dry wet signal to vary throughout the piece, and just had every repeat change the rate that it shifted, so every time it should sound a little different in volume and modulation and stuff. I mean, I went the completely logical route and like did everything pretty linear, but that's where we got kind of weird, so maybe that helps.
But you could layer those linear things on top of each other and get a feeling of asymmetry that way. It's not an issue of logical, it's an issue of simple. I mean, if you want another layer.
Gradual modulations in like the volume level of the different wet signals is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would just take adding one more fader.
Yeah, that wouldn't be very complicated to do in Max, would it?
No, just a fader and a line. Love the line object. I already have like 10 line objects in my patch.
Yeah. Line, you can do an awful lot with line. You can do a lot of like THX effect kind of things, which are so hip in new music, let alone other things.
Anyway, thanks. Yeah, I'll try out those ideas. Anybody else have anything? Or if not, we can move on to another person.
Clarissa was asking a question that I don't entirely have the technical knowledge to understand. Compiling to do you want to talk about this, Clarissa? Someone here might know more than me. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just sort of commenting, like, because I was actually been coding while we've been talking. It's part of the reason why I haven't been on voice, because I can't write and talk verbally at the same time. But yeah, it's a thing where it's like the project is mostly, it's technically done, but right now what it's producing is not good.
Yeah, I thought you were asking how to improve the audio quality.
Well, no, I think that's just going to be on my end in terms of figuring out the right balance of randomness. I think right now I'm hitting the classic problem that if you allow too much random variation, it tends to smooth out into uniform, values. And in that case, in audio, that's just meaning it's just noise. It's just white noise every time.
White noise is a beautiful thing. At least that's my opinion. Anyway.
Sure, it's just the result of every single iteration can't be white noise.
You're wanting other things. I'm just messing around because I used to, as a kid, sleep next to an air purifier just because I liked the noise. And now I own too many fuzz pedals. It's a completely logical progression. Noise shaping ye. Pink noise. Ooh, pink noise is very special. What's it? This. I know we've got a thread for this in the. I'll have to add this in the Slack later. There's a analog synth plugin that has a very, very nice pink noise. Related to a fan that one of your previous comp teachers. I would be interested to hear this, Laura. Would you like to elaborate?
Sure. Well, apparently, yeah, this is one of my professors at BU, specifically Josh Feinberg, but apparently he discovered that if he took a screwdriver to the back of like one of those cheap plastic fans, he could tune it. So then he like tuned it to something. Yes. This was because he was complaining about the noise that the heating was making in the building. That is how this came. Yeah, Boston Uni. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm sorry, it's Wicked BU.
Yes. Yes, as they say.
Do they actually say that?
They do say wicked this, wicked that, but like I haven't.
But not wicked be. Well, it's an adverb, not an adjective.
No, it's an adjective. In New England, it is an adjective. Just saying, like, it's wicked cold or wicked hot or
that's
like
an adverb.
This.
It's wicked cold. It's wicked hot.
No, it is an adverb.
Wicked smart.
I've had New Englanders tell me.
Or you can just say it's wicked. It can stand alone. You can say wicked. Yeah, that was totally wicked. Yeah, I guess it can function as both.
Hi, Isabel. You're here at the very end.
I'm so sorry. I only just realized because I went to the Slack for something, and then I realized, oh no, this is happening now. Oh no, it's almost over.
Well, do you have something you'd like to, like a compositional problem you'd like to discuss?
How do I overcome doing things at the last moment?
We had the opposite question earlier, like how to stop from adding things while your time. So perhaps the inverse of this. Would someone else like to speak to the inverse of this?
Well, Isabel, I'd just like to offer as one of the people who got on the channel for your project that if you'd like some of us to sort of get on that channel and try to guilt you into finishing it sooner because we want to be able to interpret your gestures nicely, we could do that.
I have put up a little something. So if anybody feels like they don't have time before Saturday, then that's totally fine, but it's there now.
I had not checked the Slack soon enough. I apologize.
Or Lara said a time conflict. That's a good idea.
Time is a great motivator. I like saying, I'm going to get this done today. Hook or by crook. It's happening today. Happening in this 2-hour period. Whatever I get is the thing.
Does everyone know the term tunnel vision?
Yes.
Or I guess like hyperfocus. Sometimes I'll just like suddenly just tunnel on something. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it today. Just gotta do it. And then it works. It's like a superpower that I can only activate 10% of the time.
Yeah,
But sometimes
that's
it works.
I have the same thing. I think I know a lot of people who have that. The term
And is that
television. I've never heard of a television.
isn't that what the other the parents' generation had before YouTube and Netflix?
Anyone remember VHS?
We didn't hear you. There was too much feedback from somebody else. Oh, VHS. Okay.
I did touch upon the idea of procrastination a little bit because I asked the question of perfectionism, which I think is a big part of it sometimes. I was saying how, well, I posted about it in the Slack too. Like I have had a rather turbulent project one process where I just did a lot of procrastination. And I think a lot of that is rooted in fear and perfectionism. But Amelia dropped this very beautiful quote, which was, "The perfect is the enemy of the possible." Is that like an original saying, or
I had always heard the perfect is the enemy of the good,
I heard that too.
but I revised this because for some reason that didn't motivate
yeah?
because Isabel, can you turn off your microphone? I think I'm feeding back. The perfect is the enemy of the good did not motivate me enough. I think the issue was I didn't even think I could make something good. Well, then I started saying the perfect was the enemy of the possible, and then I started making things that I genuinely thought were good. Also, like, I just discourage thinking about how good what you're doing is in general. Udon pizza. Ooh, is that... I feel like that would sell, like, hotcakes or something. I feel like it would be udon as the base for pizza. Like, I've seen, you know those sandwiches that have noodles as the bun? I feel like it would be like that, but that's the crust and it's udon. Yeah, exactly. We are at time, Lara, but thank you for offering. I would do Japanese. That just seems like the vibe right now. I don't know why.
Oh, I have one more question for everybody before we go.
Yeah.
As I talked to Shoshana and Peter about doing like interviews with everybody about their projects and their work and stuff. If y'all are down to talk, just I guess let me know when you're done and we can try and schedule something. I'm still working on like the form of the interviews and stuff because I like having like a reference to just kind of follow loosely or whatever. But let me know when y'all are done and we can just try and set up like a Zoom call or something. I think we can record Zoom calls for stuff. So that makes it a lot easier than trying to transport all my recording gear to places. But we can try and figure something out and do that because that sounds really fun. I'm really, really interested to hear about everybody's process in depth, and I think it could be really worthwhile. So let me know in the Slack or the socials, whatever.
I think this is amazing that you're doing this.
I wanted to do a podcast about the creative process last year and just found it was really hard to get places. So I was like, well, Zoom makes that way easier. This is a cool thing we're all doing, and if anybody's process has been as chaotic as mine, I'm sure we could talk for a good while about
You'll
this.
get loads of episodes out of this.
Yeah. Yeah, so let me know, y'all.
Thank you all for coming today, and best of luck wrapping everything up.
Does anyone want to hear the dirty name story that I was going to tell?
The what?
We were talking about Frescobaldi and how it sounded dirty, and I said I had a story, but I would wait till the end of the hour.
I guess it is. Okay.